This is Fourth Estate on ZTNPRIME, where we focus on all matters media and journalism in Zimbabwe. I'm Ibn Mabunda. Tonight, we focus on the recently held Information Officers and Community Radio Station Managers Media Training Workshop held in Harare as we approach this year's harmonized elections. Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Minister Monica Mutsvangwa, who was the guest of honor, got the ball rolling, giving highlights on the significant role the media plays in the Second Republic.
That information which you collect, don't look down upon yourselves as DIOs and PIOs. That information which you collect is very critical. Whatever is happening in your areas, if you feed it through, that is content which will make every Zimbabwean feel that we are equal in so many ways. And by the way, this is what the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, is saying, that we shouldn't leave anybody behind or any place behind. So you have a lot of work to do, and this is why we are here, so that we can see how that content sharing can go through every part of the country. Being located in the provinces and districts, you have witnessed first-hand major developments of the devolution and decentralization concept, which was adopted by the Second Republic. That also you have seen the transformative agenda from those areas where you are. And it's important that that information comes through. NDS1, clearly, when we get it from the 63 districts, that will show the mantra of our president, not leaving anyone behind or any place behind. And given that you handle huge amounts of content every day, I see tinomboenda kwakawanda asi kwandoenye kuenda kuManicaland handisi kuti ndiwo vanoshanda vega stereki pandinovaona pese pese pamwe vanenge vane 3, 4, 5 functions to attend in a day. And I see them running all the places because they don't want to leave any content. So that huge content should trickle through and be used by the others, whether it's radio, whether it's TV. So it is critical that you get trained in reporting for radio, reporting for TV, reporting for even social media, because our online content creators, social media has taken everybody, and we need to embrace it. I attended a conference sometime in Ethiopia where we were talking about the importance of digital rights, and clearly digital rights have become human rights. So we need to embrace it and make sure how do we make use of it to the good of the country. There is greater scope for information officers and station managers to collaborate with media organizations such as ZBC, that's why they're here, Zimpapers.
Now, on the same platform, she spoke on the importance of information officers working together with public media in the dissemination of information so as to enable the voters to vote from an informed position.
As information officers, in an election season, your duty is to inform and educate goes even higher. Because we need our people to be able to go to vote from a position of knowing what is happening in their country and in their locality. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted that as the media we have adopted a robust hybrid communication strategy that places amplification of government success at the apex. It is my expectation to see the government development agenda forming part of daily news production, with media outlets feeding off the content produced by information officers. So, information as we go towards elections, information gathering, information dissemination should be heightened. Let our people know. And that robust hybrid communication strategy should actually be seen vibrating from the 63 districts. We cannot continue producing tons and tons of content, much of it which remains internal when it should be communicated to the citizenry for informed decision making. It's important that we share this information. And you can only effectively achieve this by working closely together with the public media.
She also reiterated the impact of new technologies as a tool to engage the nation and the youth by the dissemination of information on social media platforms.
We're living in a world of new communication technologies that have impacted our daily lives as they give us news in real time. And here again, I'm talking about the importance of online communication. I'm happy because both ZBC, ZTNPRIME is now ZTN, and also they are online, because it's important to give information timely. I must tell you that when we, in the Second Republic, when I was appointed the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, when the initiative to give back to the public after Cabinet what we would have discussed was introduced, a lot of my colleagues, they said, even OPC said, Minister, you won't be able to finish because we go sometimes up to 5, and says, maybe you can do the post-cabinet briefing the next day. And I said, no, even if it means I'll wake up to 8. You can't, because information, if you keep it for too long because of social media, it will become stale. It's important that information is given timely. So let's disseminate information via social media platforms, which we know for sure. Our children, I don't know, for those of young, mine have all grown up. The last born son is already working somewhere. In that. But before they left the house, we were always 2 people sitting in the lounge with my husband, watching news, watching all kinds of TV stations. My children, you always find them on their gadgets. That's why it is important. Let's package that information and put it there so that the young generation can actually access it.
Minister Mchanga also added that information officers and the media have a mandate to counter fake news, and also scribes should remember ethics in their conduct and portrayal of Zimbabwe.
It is anticipated that this training will assist in identifying and countering fake news, especially as the nation prepares to hold the 2023 general elections in the 6 weeks left. This training is key as we go towards the elections to ensure that detractors of the state, because we always have people who have nothing good to say about Zimbabwe. This is why when I speak to my media, when I became the Minister of Information, I became a Minister of Information for media, private and public, because they are feeding information to Zimbabwe. And what I emphasize is, whenever you take a pen and paper, remember what you are writing. Is it factual? Is it bringing harmony in the country? Is it painting a terrible reputation about your country? When you are on your internet, on your laptop, on your iPad, on your smartphone, what you are writing, does it build a good reputation about this country? Because we all belong to this country. And that is important, because some people, when they start writing, there is brown envelope, you are saying these things, you are saying that thing, which gives a terrible reputation about Zimbabwe out there. There are people who, and those people who are out there, they begin to build a perception of Zimbabwe from what they read online or wherever they see this news. And when they build that perception about Zimbabwe, it affects all of us. It doesn't matter which party you belong to, or you are angry about this party, or you're happy with this party, but it will affect you. The day you leave this country, you move with your Zimbabwe passport, and that's the document which identifies you. And the person at the port of entry will look at you and say, ndimi munobva kuZimbabwe. Makaona how ignorant some people are about this country. Yes, there's a lot of things we need to do right. There's a lot of work we need to do. I'm not saying all is flowing. So it's really important. So this training, I hope it will help you to abuse social media platforms by defining the right Zimbabwean narrative.
Now, Mr. Zimbabwe Board of Trustees Chairperson Chris Chinaka laid out basic requirements and writing concepts for journalists reporting on Zimbabwe.
We recognize that reporting itself is a knowledge industry. So you need knowledge. What are we talking about? Do you know the Zimbabwe story? Do you know its dynamics? And are you keeping up to date with it? This means that while the minister was talking about the challenges of the various platforms that we have today, which come in digital form and in analog form, you have to keep all those platforms. They need to be fed with knowledgeable information. So the first challenge is that the head must apply to journalism. And a lot of the young fellows who are coming into journalism think the technology is going to replace the head. Thank God it's not. The head must remain. The second thing that we need around journalism, obviously, is the skill, but the love for journalism itself. We talked about the second edge, which is your heart. Your heart has to be in it. You've got to love it. Otherwise, you won't do it well. And then thirdly, the skills comes in your hands, and that's what we are here. So your triple H, not triple C, yet triple H, your head, your heart, your hands. They've got to come into this profession, and for our colleagues who are DIOs and PIOs who are here, just to reflect on it. So you need your 3 H's on you: your head, your heart, your hands. You do better in any profession when you apply yourself on those. But I also have a couple of 3 Z's. Zviri kuitika pauri muZimbabwe zvakakoshei. That is news. That is information. That is what we are dealing with.
Mr. Chinaka emphasized the importance of information collection using basic tools of a book, a pen, and also skills to tell the Zimbabwean story.
Any reporter, anyone who is dealing with information and must carry a notebook and a pen. And so I asked Director Chisoko on these reflections on reporting about Zimbabwe to the world, about what is important for Zimbabwe and Zimbabweans, to the world and to Zimbabweans. Are we having this reflection for beginners, or for, and they said, no, this is advanced reporting. So you will see, I called it compelling journalism, tips on reporting Zimbabwe. So that is our focus. So you carry, even for the digital world, you carry a notebook and a pen. That is a must. So anyone who pitches up to in your space without a notebook and a pen is a candidate to be fired, right? Isn't it? That's what they do in the newsrooms. So you come to a conference on reporting and you have no pen, you have no notebook. Clearly, you should not be in that space, right? Because the first thing we do is we take notes. We take notes about the areas where we are, and we carry notebooks and pens because we are professionals. That is what we do. So, Director Chisoko, I think as we leave, you'll be kitting your officers with notebooks and pens, and emphasizing that when you were in journalism school and you didn't pitch up with a notebook and a pen, you were asked to leave the class, isn't it? That's what we do, and that's what we do as Zimbabweans. The second thing we do is we do a mapping exercise. What is our story? And so my next slide there is, we'll see what it is. But what you are, as journalists, as DIOs, and as PIOs, you are signing up to reporting the Zimbabwean story.
He also encouraged information officers to be self-driven when reporting and also emphasized the need to understand the Zimbabwean story first before publishing.
The other thing that is going to happen around reporting is that you need to be self-driven. You're not going to get the minister or headquarters chasing after you. The idea is that they say they've employed professionals, educated, skilled, and therefore they said, Director Chisoko said to me, can you please emphasize the need for self-drive? That you need to be self-driven because the ministry is not going to be chasing after you, because that is not what they are there to do. There is the slide. What's on the slide? Same is it? No. That's the slide I would like. It's an empty slide. That is our workspace. There's nothing in there. We need to fill in the Zimbabwe story. Right? We are filling up that story, not with other people's versions.
Mr. Chinaka encouraged media practitioners to apply their skills in the discharge of their duties.
Journalism is a triple business today. It is a business which needs your heart, your head, and your hands. They got to be in it. Triple H to match triple Z. Zviri kuitika muZimbabwe zvakakoshei ndo story yedu. Asi story iyoyo inoda kuti upindemo nechido chenjere dzako, chemwoyo wako, chemaoko ako. Chinoda a triple A. Attitude, aptitude, ne-application. Tese tinogona kunyora, but if we are half-hearted, if our attitude is about I'm not quite happy in the station where you are. You are a professional. While you are playing for Liverpool, please play for Liverpool. Wholeheartedly. You are a professional. While you are in the space that you are, you already have the skills. Please apply them so people will admire you for who you are. And then obviously the key element is that we develop the skills, the knowledge, and the commitment. So the art of news reporting is basically one today, because everyone is at the same spot. For the Zimbabwe story or any other story, it is that you're committing yourself to answering why. Why is this story important? Why are boreholes important in Chile? Honorable Pemsek Mangwana. It is not his heading there. Honorable Minister, why are boreholes important for Chimanimani, for Mutasa, for Makoni, right? Once we answer that, you are answering not for yourself. Sometimes we don't report stories because you think you should be answering your own person. We are answering that person for Zimbabwe, for Zimbabweans, and the rest of the world will relate to that information only to the extent that it matters to us. So what do we have? I put there something, tell me something that I don't know, right? Tell me something that I don't know. That's how we report around. But that thing may be known, except you are not putting the unknown, right? Why do you think that the people in Gokwe, if you are in Chimanimani, know that there is no water in Chimanimani? So you're telling them something that they don't know.
He warned the media to practice caution on breaking news and again encouraged them to cover all issues and communities to give divergent views.
I would urge caution around breaking story. Right? Urge caution because unless you are absolutely sure that you got it right, you don't want, as a government official, to be identified with a story where you have to pull it back because you got it wrong. Right? So pause before you post or you publish. That would be mine. Although there will be elements where you may think, let me break the story, but be absolutely sure that you're doing so well. Sectorial issues, break them down. While we are in election period, people haven't stopped eating, isn't it? Right? While we are in election period, people haven't stopped going for their sports. So you must also have, even while you are reporting about, this is why the government, in its wisdom, all governments will set up institutions that cover all sorts of areas. So don't just cover politics, cover the full gamut of issues around your area. That way, you will not be identified with propaganda, right? Politics sometimes tends to get audiences to think it's propaganda, isn't it? So when occasionally you produce information about how many artists are in your district, how many have been published, how many have published books in your areas, and all the rest of that sort of information, people also identify you with other information other than politics. So it is important that you do cover the full gamut of people's lives.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Nick Mangwana, spoke on the importance of this election, citing the role of community radio stations, campus radio, as well as new television stations.
This is the first time we are going into elections, I believe, with all 63 districts of this country covered by a DIO. And this is the first time we are going into elections with community radio stations. That's not something to take for granted because it changes the dynamics of our communication. It changes the way you execute your job in that area. It sort of changes your job description, actually. And this is the first time we are going into elections with campus radio stations. The UZ campus radio stations, I think, has got a range or a reach of about 7 kilometers, meaning it passes Harare Central. If we go to the Poly we have 5+ as well, and it also covers quite a big range. And then we go to MSU. MSU is based in Shishavane, right? The radio station. It means it covers the whole of Shishavane. It changes how you work. It changes how you communicate. It changes our interactions, the interactions that we have with our various publics, be they corporate, the community itself, and also government and other sectors as well. It basically means that this is an election like no other. We are also going into this election with more television stations than just ZBC. It changes the dynamics of our communication. It changes our mandate to some extent. It changes the risk profile that comes with communication. So, if you took part in the last election, if you were in your job, it basically, in 2023 August, the build-up since the proclamation of the date, our thrust can't be the same as it was in 2018. The way we work can't be the same as 2018. Hence, the purpose of coming together, sharing ideas, getting our instructions on what's expected of us. And of course, meet the leadership to get more motivated, get that injection of energy.
Well, that's a wrap on the Fourth Estate tonight. Let us know your thoughts on our social media handles at Zim Papers Television Network as well as at ZTN Prime. I'm Ibn Mabunda. Thank you and good night.